tight, can you see it? Streaming the truth live from where they decree it. Sylvia speaks, no filter, no buffer. Courtroom drama couldn't get any tougher.
When the gavel's first bang, to the witness stands tears. Sylvia's lens captures all your hopes and fears. Uploading justice one trial at a time. Tune in every moment, edges sublime.
Welcome to the Sylvia Show, oh yeah. She's got the inside scoop, don't you care? With every verdict, the suspense does grow. So hit subscribe, let's start the show. Welcome to the Sylvia Show, oh yeah. She's got the inside scoop, don't you care? With every verdict, the suspense does grow. So hit subscribe, let's start the show. Faces tell stories, the courtroom can't hide. Sylvia's insights cut through the divide. From jury talks to the lawyer's secret. In Sylvia's world, you know you'll need it. Behind the scenes where whispers are loud, her lens reveals the truth in the crowd. Courtroom secrets laid bare to see. Stay curious with Sylvia Spree. Every objection, every sharp retort, Sylvia's there to give you the report. Exclusive footage no one else can snag. From catchy headlines straight to the tag. Welcome to the Sylvia Show, oh yeah. She's got the inside scoop, don't you care? With every verdict, the suspense does grow. So hit subscribe, let's start the show. Welcome to the Sylvia Show, oh yeah. She's got the inside scoop, don't you care? With every verdict, the suspense does grow. So hit subscribe, let's start the show.
Faces tell.
Hey guys, hello everybody. Let me make myself bigger. Hey everybody, hello. I am here to bring you guys the footage. I wanted to wait a few seconds for everybody pile up in here so they can get a chance to see the footage for today's hearing. Today was the final day. Today was the final day for Detective Vimberito on the stand. This was her last day on the stand. You guys, I told you earlier what happened, that a lot of things changed. The camera definitely was not on her, and also they had a big old huge television just in case it was a mistake, that so they wouldn't capture her at all. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead on and play because it's about an hour, and I'm supposed to be doing one more live after this. So it's supposed to be an hour worth of footage. Okay. So if anybody is coming in, tell them to come on in. Because I am not going to stop anymore. I'm going to put it in my I have to put this on. I have to. You thought my trial started today? I told you it was no trial. Did I not tell y'all? Y'all didn't believe me, huh? Y'all didn't believe me. Didn't I tell y'all? Y'all thought I was lying. I also told you there was only one count, and they asked me they were going to wanted me to take 3 days. I tell, hell to the nah. That's what I said. I didn't say those words exactly, but I did say no. But my attorney had already said no before that. So the camera crew is recording the entire day, but not streaming. Nope, not streaming at all. I am the only one that has the exclusive. I don't even know if they're gonna stream Now you answer the question yourself, Courtney. Answer the question for yourself. Supposedly, I originally had 2 count, right? Then they pushed it to 7 count, right? And then my plea deal they offered me was 3 days, time served, and only one criminal trespassing misdemeanor, 3 days. And I said no, because I want to go to court. I want to go to trial. I want to go to trial. So I want I want to face my accusers. I'm not playing no more. I don't have to. No, I'm not. I didn't tell everything. I ain't tell everything. I ain't tell everything. My fault, girl. Why? I want to go to trial. That's what I want to go to trial. I want to go to trial. I want my accusers. I want what they put into the document to be proven lies. Because I saw somebody doing sound bites and saying that I said this, I confess, and all that. Hey, Dom. There we go. There we go. Right there. There we go. Right there. Let it play out. Since they have a concrete case, right? Let it play out. Let it play out. All right, y'all ready? Y'all ready? Just like they say that I was gonna get thrown out of the court today. I wasn't gonna be able to have footage. Now, guys, you guys better start y'all better start trying to check your sources now. Y'all better start checking your sources. Y'all better start checking your sources, because remember they claim that I'm gonna get kicked out, that the judges don't like me, this person don't do this. They claim a lot of stuff, y'all. Y'all better check. A lot of these people do things for clicks and views, y'all. Y'all gotta check these. And whose name do they use? My name, because I bring them numbers. I mean, it is what it is. Like I said, I don't want to pat myself on the back, but I'm the it factor. And without my name, what? For real? Is he okay? Is he okay? She just put in that Boosie was in a bad accident. Hold on, let me call somebody I know. Let me see. What? Hold on a second. Let me call one of his people. Hold on. Yeah, you're right, Eno. You're right. I just talked to one of his people. His girlfriend was in the car too. They said it was a woman that was in the car, so I don't know who it was. I'm just making an assumption. But anyway, y'all, let's make sure before we get off that we pray for him. He's in the hospital, they said. They say he's in the hospital. We haven't started. We haven't started yet. Harley, don't start. Don't start. Don't come in here. Don't start. Don't start in here. You came in late, so don't start the mess. Okay, please, please, just behave. Thank you, Eno. Oh, okay, yeah, y'all ready? Y'all ready to see this? What happened in court today? And yes, I got my I got my watermark flat on my face because I was told to do that so folks don't be trying to take my stuff, keep my name all over the place. All right, let's go. Yeah. Y'all ready?
25 PI 000240, 25 PI 001500, and 25 PI 000367. That is the state versus Caldwell. Thomas, Hollis, Regis, M. Crawford with Mr. Regis and Mr. Mobley. Ms. Fagan, I do want to inquire with you. You were unable to be in one of the hearings last week because you were in trial in another county. I did have your client sit through it, although he was not asked any questions. It was simply a courtesy to let him observe. I'm happy that we have you back. Did you wish to?
Okay, those are asking why I have my watermark on, because people steal my content and I don't want no more thievery. So I put it straight on my stuff. Okay? That's why. And I'm not removing it.
Pick up from here and continue in the cross-examination of all the defense counsel? Or would you like me, we have one co-defendant who, because he was hospitalized and unable to come in, that I have to do this entire thing all over again anyway. So
Yes, thank you, Lauren. And also the judge told me to do it because I explained to her the kind of situation I was having. And she says, just put your watermark everywhere. Put your watermark everywhere. Why was he hospitalized? He was in a car accident. He was in a car accident. All right, so let me go ahead on. Let me finish.
it is up to you and your client if you would like to pick up from here and go forward, or I can have him set with the other Mr. Crawford.
Yes, Your Honor. My request is to get back in line at the end of the cross-examination of defense counsel.
Oh, you're talking about the other inmate. I'm sorry. Why is he in the hospital? I don't know. Somebody said that he got into a they got into some sort of like, allegedly they got into some sort of uh gang war or something like that. I don't know how true that is. It's allegedly, okay?
Allow me to have the opportunity to cross the witness.
Okay, I don't have a problem with that. So, Mr. Thomas, your attorney wasn't here one day last week, but she is confident that if she picks up from here and reads the transcript later on, that she will be perfectly in line to continue to represent you zealously. Is it okay with you if she just picks up and continues going forward and reads the transcript from the day she missed earlier? All right, so you're not gonna feel like you didn't get a full hearing because your lawyer wasn't here one day, right? You're not gonna feel the, okay, I just wanna make sure that we protect everybody's rights. All right, so we are picking up, I believe, with cross-examination. Mr. Regis, it was you up, right? Yes, Your Honor. When we had to interrupt, so come on up here, and we have all of the defendants present with their counsel. Mr. Tevis is here for Mr. Caldwell, Ms. Fagan for Mr. Thomas, Ms. Guest for Mr. Hollis, Mr. Regis is for Mr. Marcus Crawford, And on behalf of Mr. Mobley, we have Ms. Stewart and Mr. Hoover. So we are ready to begin. The state is represented by DDA Michael Sprinkle and Pat Dutcher. We do need our witness to be brought in. What?
Adam Abadi.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry, I thought you were Pat Dutcher. All right, let me correct the record. Apparently all these white guys look the same to me. This is Adam Abadi, okay? All right, Mr. Abadi, big apologies. But now you know how it feels, right?
He said, "Oh,
Now you know how it feels. All right, then, can we get our,
the judge is so funny." She said, "All the white guys look alike." Don't you tell him? Can I do a floating logo? Somebody said. I'm waiting for my Is this a bench trial? No, it's not a bench trial. This is more of the pre-trial hearing. I'm waiting for my girl to do my floating. All right.
witness? I know she is in a protected spot. Do I need to? Okay, thank you very much.
Testing. Testing. Yeah, it's on.
And for our media feed, I believe you had been previously instructed, you are not to film the witness up here at all, okay? Don't view her coming and going. She is not to appear on any type of video at all. Are we clear? Yes, Judge. Thank you very much.
You heard it, Judge, right? That was basically directed to me.
Should be coming through the other door. We have disabled the camera and we have told the media they are not to film you in any respect. Staying, going, sitting, they cannot take a film capture.
Thank you, Your
Honor. Okay?
Thank you.
Do you have any other concerns?
That was it for now.
We strategically placed them items too, so that will also help.
Thank you.
Stay in your seat and we'll be good to go, okay?
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, so Mr. Regas was cross-examining Detective Viverito, so we will pick up from that point. You may proceed, sir.
Good afternoon, investigator.
Good afternoon.
And I am going to be very brief, so I'm going to ask you very specific questions so to facilitate me being brief. I want to make certain, as we discussed on Friday, that I understand your reasons for seeking a warrant against Mr. Crawford, Mr. Marcus Crawford to be specific. So as I understood your testimony, your reasons were, among others, numerous calls prior, correct?
Correct.
Numerous calls after, correct?
Calls after, yes.
And there were some inconsistent statements, correct?
Several inconsistent statements, yes.
And there was, I believe, checking into a hotel at 3 or so in the morning, correct?
That was discovered after the warrants had been issued.
Okay. So to be clear, let me not answer for you. What, as best you can summarize, were the reasons you sought the warrant against Mr. Marcus Crawford?
Mr. Marcus Crawford, based on his relationship and association with the involved parties and the timing of his phone calls to the individuals involved with the incident, led to the initial arrest warrants. Following his arrest, more evidence was developed.
Okay, well, let's start again where we sort of left off on Friday about the relationship and the timing, or more specifically, the timing of those numerous phone calls. As you sit here right now, can you tell me how many phone calls did Marcus Crawford place to Mr. Thomas?
I didn't say he placed any to Mr. Thomas.
That is a question. Can you tell me first if
That is a
Marcus
question.
Crawford placed any phone calls to Mr. Thomas?
No,
He did not.
no,
Did Mr. Thomas place any phone calls to Mr. Marcus Crawford?
no.
How many phone calls did Mr. Thomas place to Mr. Caldwell prior to the incident?
We went through this the last time I was on the stand. I can refer back to the phone records. It might take a minute. We can go, I thought you were taking notes, so I can go back. We can go back to the phone records, but it may take a moment.
She said, I thought you was taking notes.
Go right ahead.
Ooh, look at that boy me mugging y'all. Look at his face.
Caldwell to Thomas or Thomas to Caldwell?
Thomas first was 0, and I'm on Caldwell.
Okay.
And I'll be asking you about all of the co-defendants if you want to get the answer while you're there.
Well, we'll have to go one by one. Like I said, it's 60 pages of phone records, and I think I alleged that he spoke with Ali Caldwell and
We're
Trayvon
waiting for the
Crawford.
answer, if that's okay.
Okay. Now, are we going back to, you had confined me between 11 p.m. to 12 a.m., the last round of questioning. So are we back in that, or are we talking about since the information was learned about who they believed was involved in the homicide of Mr. Turner?
Let's go 11 o'clock to midnight on July 1st.
Marcus Crawford speaks to Ali Caldwell at 11:14.
Who called whom?
It is an outgoing call from Mr. Crawford, from Mr. Marcus Crawford to Ali Caldwell.
At 11:14, and that duration is what?
41 seconds.
Okay. Is that the only call to Mr. Caldwell?
No, it's not. I'm not finished yet. Marcus Crawford, then at 11:48, I'm sorry, at 11:37, or Marcus Crawford and Trayvon Crawford have a phone call at 11:50. And for Marcus Crawford, that's going to be an outgoing call for 99 seconds. At 12:06, Marcus Crawford is going to have an incoming call from Trayvon Crawford. That's a 9-second call, and that's when the activity on his phone ceases.
Great. How many times did Mr. Marcus Crawford call Mr. Caldwell between 11 o'clock and midnight? That's the question.
One, at 11:14, when we believe he picked him up.
I'm sorry?
We believe at 11:14, that's when the phone records will show he meets and goes to an area consistent to where Mr. Caldwell is. So there's one call at 11:14.
And where's that area where they both were at the same time?
1314 Donnelly Hollowell. Mr. Crawford's original statement is that he met with him to buy marijuana at that location, and that changed throughout the course of the interview.
How many times did Mr. Marcus Caldwell call Mr. Hollis between 11 o'clock and midnight?
Mr.
Hollis.
Marcus Crawford,
Marcus Crawford, I apologize, called Mr. Hollis between 11 o'clock and midnight.
he did not.
How many times did Mr. Marcus Crawford call Mr. Mobley?
He did not.
How many times did Mr. Marcus Crawford call his brother, Trayvon Crawford, between 11 o'clock and midnight?
The ones I just read off, I'll reread them again. I thought you were keeping track.
So as you've testified, between 11 o'clock and midnight, there were 2 calls between the co-defendants, between Mr. Crawford and the combined total of the co-defendants, correct?
Well, I think we talked about several, and then even Judge Hughes had to say, like, you had tracked 2, and she had tracked 10, and we went back and forth about this the other day.
Isn't it correct that between 11 o'clock and midnight, based on your testimony as of this afternoon, Mr. Marcus Crawford had 2 phone communications with Mr. Caldwell and Mr. Crawford between 11 o'clock and midnight on July 1st of 2024?
I think I see 3, but
Okay. Now, in your application for the warrant, your word you used were several communications. Is that correct?
amongst all the co-defendants.
Well, that is what's called conflation, correct?
No, that's what's.
Well, let's talk specifically about Marcus Crawford. He's a young man I represent. You indicated that there were several calls. That is not correct insofar as Mr. Marcus Crawford. Isn't that correct?
I think you're engaging in conflation. I said several calls between all of the involved parties. So that's how I didn't say Marcus Crawford had several calls with everybody that's involved.
Did Marcus Crawford have several calls with the co-defendants between 11 o'clock and midnight on July 1st?
This was a premeditated case.
Objection, non-responsive, Your Honor.
Okay, just yes or no to his question, right? And then you can explain yourself.
He said,
Do I need
No
to repeat the question?
Sure.
Did Marcus Crawford have several communications with the co-defendants between 11 o'clock and midnight on July 1st of 2024?
No, but as I will explain, my warrant does not say between 11 and 12. The plot began around 6:30 p.m. There are numerous communications throughout the evening, and that's how my warrant reads. I don't say between 11, you're handcuffing me to 11 and 12. That's not how my warrant reads.
Let's take the cuffs off. Between 6:30 p.m. on July 1st and 11 p.m. on July 1st, how many times did Mr. Marcus Crawford call Mr. Thomas?
Not Mr. Thomas.
I'm sorry?
Not Mr. Thomas. He doesn't call Mr. Thomas.
Okay. Between 6:30 p.m. and 11 o'clock p.m. on July 1st, 2024, how many times did Mr. Marcus Crawford call Mr. Caldwell?
Again, we'll have to go through the records, but let's see.
I just want to tell you guys, this attorney here, he's a public defender, but he has won quite a few murder cases that I well, one of them I witnessed, and he won on a murder case.
He speaks to Mr. Caldwell at 11:14. The bulk of his communications with Mr. Crawford.
You mean his brother?
His co-defendant, Mr. Crawford, yes,
His brother.
who's also his co-defendant.
And that's the same call that you testified to about earlier between 11 and midnight, correct?
Correct.
So, again, the handcuffs are off. We're not limiting you from 11 to midnight. How many times did Mr. Marcus Crawford call Mr. Hollis between 6:30 p.m. July 1st and 11 o'clock on July 1st?
None, I didn't allege that.
Okay. How many times did Mr. Marcus Crawford call Mr. Mobley between 6:30 p.m. and 11 o'clock p.m. on July 1st of 2024?
None.
How many times did Mr. Marcus Crawford call his brother on July 1st?
Multiple.
How many times?
Okay, if we want to pause, I'll count them for you. Traydon and Marcus talk at 6:43 p.m. for 6 seconds. They talk again at 6:44 for 9 seconds. They talk again at 6:46 for 102 seconds. They talk again at 8:48 for 8 seconds. They talk again at 8:14 for 116 seconds. They talk again at 8:17 for 4 seconds. They talk again at 8:18. I'm sorry, that one looks like it goes to voicemail. They talk at 8:19 for 5 seconds. They talk at 8:20 for what looks like 2 seconds. They talk at 8:22 for 30 seconds. They talk at 11:48 for what appears to be 21 seconds. I'm sorry, 11:32 for 21 seconds. They talk at 11:50 for 99 seconds. And then they talk at 12:06 for 9 seconds.
So, in your application for warrant, where it says in here, investigator Viverito was able to see that numerous phone conversations began to take place between multiple individuals who would have had a vested interest. Marcus Crawford is not among those multiple individuals with vested interests who have made those numerous calls. Isn't that correct? Discounting his brother Traydon,
Well,
correct?
no, I'm not discounting his brother Traydon, who's a
I
co-defendant.
am asking you to. Outside of his brother, there was one call between the rest. Isn't that correct?
He spoke to Mr. Caldwell. Yes,
One call.
right.
And that is what you meant by numerous phone calls.
No.
Okay.
You're conflating. What I'm saying is, my warrant, you read it, it says between all of the defendants. So as you see Mr. Marcus Crawford talking at length to his brother and Mr. Caldwell, they are in touch with Mr. Hollis. So we both don't need to be making on a three-way call if we're all together or we're all planning something. So that's what my statement means when we say all the defendants are speaking at one time.
Wait, all of the defendants are speaking at one time?
I apologize, numerous calls between suspects. And if you continue, it says all the activity between suspects ceases at a certain time and then picks up at a certain time, because after the incident, he begins to have phone calls with Mr. Hollis.
Okay. So, after the incident, how many phone calls did Mr. Marcus Crawford place to Mr. Thomas?
None.
After the incident, how many phone calls did Mr. Marcus Crawford place to Mr. Hollis?
I believe,
Well, you have the records before you,
right,
don't
I don't want to misquote, so I'm reading them. You got to give me a second. He receives a 25-second incoming call from Mr. Hollis.
What time?
11:59 when the phones become active again.
I'm sorry? What time?
11:59 when the phones become active again.
I'm sorry, you finished?
No, I was waiting for you. At 4:03, he then travels to a hotel in DeKalb County, checks in using that same phone number, and then begins speaking to Traydon Crawford, or attempts to,
Listen, I apologize. My question was, how many times did Mr. Marcus Crawford call Mr. Hollis after the
Oh,
incident?
Mr. Hollis, just that night, just that one time.
Okay. How many times did Mr. Crawford call Mr. Caldwell?
I don't believe he calls Mr. Caldwell until the next day.
How many times did Mr. Marcus Crawford call Mr. Mobley?
He did not call Mr. Mobley.
So again, in your application for warrant, where you talk about the numerous phone interactions between the co-defendants, you are not talking about any calls from Mr. Crawford to any of the co-defendants other than his brother, correct?
And Mr. Hollis and Mr. Caldwell.
One, right? One to Mr. Hollis and one to Mr. Caldwell?
Correct, because it appeared at that time he admitted he met up with Mr. Caldwell, so I'm not going to call you and sit on the phone next to you and talk. I'm going to speak to you in person.
But we're talking about your application for the warrant. You indicated there were numerous phone communications between the individuals, when in fact, there were not numerous phone calls between Mr. Marcus Crawford and anyone other than his brother. Isn't that correct?
Objection, Your Honor. This question's been asked and answered multiple times.
It has. Sustained.
So that is one basis. You also, in your direct testimony one day, I forget the days, you talked about having made contact or communication with a confidential informant. Isn't that correct?
Correct.
That confidential informant mentioned to you the name Traydon Crawford, didn't he?
I asked him about Mr. Crawford.
Traydon Crawford, correct?
Correct.
And that confidential informant said something to the effect of Mr. Traydon Crawford jumped right in there. Something like that, right?
Mr. Crawford and Mr. Caldwell jumped in head first.
Having said that, that confidential informant did not say one word about Mr. Marcus Crawford, did he?
No?
And I noticed in your application for the warrant, you used the word ambush, that the defendants ambushed those little girls. You recall using that word?
No, boy.
Three little boys, and they
Boys.
did, yes, they ambushed them, yes.
And ambush means they lured them there? What does ambush mean?
They jumped out and ran up on them.
Okay. But no indication that Mr. Crawford had any communication with any of those victims, correct?
Which Crawford?
Mr. Marcus Crawford, I apologize. Thank you, Your Honor. There is no indication that Mr. Marcus Crawford had any communication with any of the victims, correct?
No.
And when we were here a week ago, I asked you about the shell casing that was found inside the home where Mr. Traydon Crawford and Mr. Marcus Crawford lived. You recall that?
There was no shell casing.
I'm sorry. There was ammunition. There was a bullet, correct?
There were 3 rifle magazines, one of which was loaded with ammunition, yes.
And you indicated that in response to the question of whether they were rare or not, you indicated that you had had time to do some research over the weekend and you learned new information. You recall responding that way?
Correct.
Well, since we were last here a week ago, you still have no fingerprint on any of those magazines belonging to Mr. Marcus Crawford, do you?
Correct, but that has nothing to do with what I learned about the ammunition. No.
Objection, non-responsive.
Okay.
Correct.
Well, yeah, just,
Correct.
And since we were last here and you indicated that you heard 1,200 phone calls, not one of those phone calls, one of those 1,200, was there ever any mention of Marcus Crawford with any involvement, correct?
Respectfully, we said on probably almost 12,000 instances of communication, and no.
I really thank you for that. I apologize for misspeaking. 12,000. And to some extent, you have heard various names in this courtroom in terms of their involvement. We've heard talks of people snitching, confessing, crying, and all sorts of things in relation to this case. Are you familiar with any of that?
I haven't heard anything about anybody confessing, no.
But of all these names, not one person has ever mentioned Marcus Crawford in any involvement, right?
No,
Thank you. I have no more questions.
thank you.
Okay. Who's next? Go on up, Ms. Stewart.
Good afternoon, investigator.
Good afternoon, Ms. Stewart.
I represent Mr. Mobley, and so I have some additional questions for you.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, how long have you been a gang investigator?
I've been working in gangs since 2009, probably investigations 2017.
What do you mean by working in gangs?
When I first started my career as a probation officer, I supervised a caseload that was comprised of a lot of gang members. So that's how I first got my feet wet with the gang world here in Atlanta.
Okay, but as a investigator specifically, what's your time been?
With the title investigator?
Yes.
2019.
2019, okay. So I assume that you've been specifically trained on how to investigate gang crimes or
Correct.
gang-related crimes.
Correct.
Okay, so I expect that you follow some sort of methodology or SOP or standard operating procedure in the scope of your investigations.
Well, it depends. Gang-related means that a member of a gang is involved. Gang-motivated means that, exactly what it says, it was motivated by the gang, so.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, okay, so it just depends how you're asking. I mean, there's no standard SOP on how you do a gang investigation, but we know what to look for.
Okay, so you wouldn't say that there's a specific SOP on gang investigations?
There's an SOP, but it doesn't tell you how to do your investigations. It has what we talked about last week, the 6-point criteria for evaluating somebody's gang membership or association, but not, this is what you do, step 1, 2, and 3, like that, no.
So what does guide you in how to do your investigations?
My experience, I've been to the police academy. I've taken some investigation courses. I took in Atlanta Police Department's FIT school, was their field investigation team training, which encompasses their detective and investigator training. But there's no, every detective or every investigator will investigate their cases differently.
So you can kind of just do your own thing and lead your investigations, given your experience?
Everybody has their own methodology, yes.
Okay, and you also, do you also do trainings to other investigators and specifically on gangs?
I do.
Okay, so, okay. So in the scope of your role as an investigator, a gang investigator, you're expected to give expert opinions and conclusions?
It just depends on the case.
Okay. Well, if you're have you testified as an expert before?
I have, but it's a case-by-case basis.
Okay. And I assume that you base those opinions on the evidence that you find in the scope of your investigations?
It just depends. Sometimes I testify as a fact witness, sometimes I testify as an expert, but if I'm testifying as an expert, it's gonna come from that specific case.
Okay, so if you're testifying as an expert, you're basing your conclusions off the evidence that you find in that case?
Correct.
Okay. Now, the type of evidence that you're looking for, I would assume is evidence of some type of gang activity.
Correct, or gang membership or affiliation.
Okay, and you'd agree with me that not all criminal activity is gang activity?
Correct.
And you'd agree that not all criminal activity committed by a gang member is gang activity?
Correct.
Okay. It's your job as a gang investigator to differentiate those?
Correct.
Okay. So you wouldn't assume, as an expert, you wouldn't assume that something is gang activity, even though that's what you're looking for?
Right, you have to look at the facts of the case, because there's sometimes we look at a case and say, I don't believe this is, I can't find a gang nexus to this.
And so part of that would be ruling out, other possibilities or other alternative theories that it's gang activity, right?
Correct, based off the evidence.
So, okay, perfect. Do you document that process of ruling out alternative theories in your investigation?
I do.
Okay. Is that documentation provided in your main reports?
It'll be in the lead supplement. Like if somebody provides an alibi and I'm able to dispel it, I'll put it in the lead supplement and document what steps I took to dispel it or confirm it.
Okay, so if you did rule out any other possibilities, that would be provided in your supplemental reports?
Correct.
Okay. Now, I want to talk a little bit about the documentation of gangs. Is there some sort of database that is used to document members or individuals with affiliations?
It's not a database. The Atlanta Police Department has what's called APIN, and it warehouses our intelligence files.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch that last part.
I'm sorry, it's a system that houses our intelligence files. It's not a database, but it maintains all of our intelligence files when it comes to gangs. It's called APIN.
So it's a system that maintains the documentation?
Yes, intelligence files, yes.
Maybe I'm confused. Is there a reason that that wouldn't be classified as a database?
It's not, it's just it's a system that stores case files and files, not a database.
Can multiple people access it?
Yeah, well, specific people, not everybody, yes.
And they can add things to that system?
They can, it depends on who you are, but yes.
Okay. And does this system, do you document activity that's not illegal?
Objection, Your Honor. I don't understand all these questions about the inner workings of this database are relevant to the hearing.
Okay, Ms. Stewart, can you
Yes.
tie it into this specific case?
Yes, Your Honor. I mean, at
All right,
this
so I will
point,
sustain the objection, ask you to rephrase.
okay. This database, are you, for example, you use social media as part of your investigations. Is that documented into the system?
It could be to show affiliation or membership or relationships between parties.
Okay. Is there any way to challenge this information once it's entered?
I mean, in court, I'm sure it gets challenged all the time, and it's up to the investigator to prove or explain why they felt it was important.
Is there a removal process for this information?
Yes, and there is a certain period of time where if the person is no longer active or hasn't any activity, I can't recall off the top of my head the exact amount of time, they get purged from the system.
Okay. That's all my questions about that system. I want to move and direct your attention now to the scope of your investigation in this case. I know we've heard a lot about other cases and investigations. However, I want to specifically talk about your involvement and how it began on the case we're here for today. So can you please let me or explain to me how your involvement began for this case?
For this case, I was the on-call gang investigator the night that this case happened. So I responded out to the scene along with units from Zone 4 and the homicide unit.
Okay, is it typical for you to be called out to the scene?
If the parties on scene or the investigators on scene feel that it may be gang-related or gang-motivated, or it happens in an area that is known for gang activity, or especially if juveniles are involved, we typically get called out.
So what was the basis for you being called out on this date, or July 2nd of this case?
That 3 juveniles had been shot, and it was in an area known for criminal street gang activity.
Okay. But simply being in an area known for criminal street gang activity, you wouldn't assume off that alone that this case is gang-related?
But that's why we go out there and we'd evaluate sometimes we can go out and maybe it's a domestic situation, but we will go out there and evaluate it.
And were you the lead gang investigator on this case?
I was.
Okay, and what other departments or units did you work with?
The homicide unit. And that's it.
Oh, that's all, okay. Now actually, I'll scratch that question. As part of your investigation, and we know that you reviewed certain evidence, have you also reviewed the reports written by other law enforcement in this case?
There are a lot of reports, but I've reviewed some of them.
Okay, namely, I'm referring to the report of Officer Hulse.
I've reviewed portions of her report, yes.
Okay, did you all collaborate on drafting your reports together in order to form the basis for the warrants that you took out in this case?
Because we had different responsibilities. I would have to pull from some of her reports regarding, she did a lot of work on the vehicles in this case. So I have to go to her report. I authored the wiretap, so she'd have to go to my reports or what I had notated to get information for her reports. So we had to work together.
Now, did you review any of the surveillance footage in this case?
There was a lot. So are you talking about specifically?
From the incident itself.
From the incident itself, yes.
Okay, now, from that footage, you're not able to identify any of the suspects, were you?
You can't identify, you can see stature, but as far as any identifying characteristics other than height and weight, probably no.
Okay, and you spoke a little bit about the ballistics evidence in this case, right?
Correct?
And you're not a firearms expert, are you?
No.
Or a ballistics expert?
No.
Okay, and those reports have yet to be returned?
The one investigator host transferred everything to the GBI. The ones that I saw came from the ATF, so I'm not sure about her status on those.
Okay, and so, but out of all the reports that you did review that aided your investigation, none of them have come back to Mr. Mobley, have they?
I believe investigator host had detailed some information from a third party talking about Mr. Mobley and a jail call.
I'm specifically talking about the ballistics reports.
Oh, the ballistics reports, no.
No, okay. Let's talk about, were you involved at all with the license plate reader and the fuses evidence in this case?
Not for the vehicles. She did the initial tracking of the vehicles on scene. I got involved more so with the finding out where the license plates were stolen from and tracking them after that. So she did the initial.
Okay, so in your scope, or in your investigation into that, did Mr. Mobley ever come up as a suspect in any of those stolen vehicles?
No,
Did any of those vehicles ever come back registered to Mr. Mobley?
no,
Okay. You don't have any evidence today that Mr. Mobley was investigated for any of that, do you?
he is investigator Hulse's defendant, so I don't want to give a definitive no, but as far as I know, I don't believe so.
Okay. Now, you were, a big part of your investigation was into cell phone records and cell phone data, is that right?
Correct.
And you've reviewed the cell phone data that has been provided in this case?
Yes, for the most part, the one that I had a part in, yes.
Okay, and that data include like cell tower data, phone extractions, and social media records?
Correct.
Okay. Now, you were the investigator who turned over certain phone numbers to the FBI agent for review?
Yes.
Okay. None of those numbers were of Mr. Mobley?
No.
Okay. Now, you have testified that you reviewed some of the data collected from the cell towers around the scene of the incident, is that correct?
Yes.
Out of those numbers that you reviewed, none of those numbers came back registered to Mr. Mobley?
Like I said, he's investigator Hulse's defendant. From what I've seen, I was focused more so on my defendants.
Did you not take out warrants against Mr. Mobley?
My gang warrants are predicated on her homicide warrants.
Okay. And you all collaborated in the scope of this investigation to take out these warrants, right?
Right, but Mr. Mobley was her defendant. Like, she probably couldn't speak on Mr. Caldwell, Mr. Sanders, those individuals, because I charged them. She charged Mr. Mobley, so all the details of that investigation, I don't want to misspeak. From my knowledge of my suspects that I charged, I did not see, I think he has one phone call with maybe Mr. Hollis around 7-something p.m., but other than that, I don't want to exclude and give a definite answer when he's her defendant.
Okay, so you don't know today, and you're the one who turned over these cell phone records to the FBI agent?
The records I turned over, I did not see that, but I don't know. Investigator, like I said, he's not my defendant. You may have to ask Investigator Hulse. From the records that I turned over, I did not identify his number other than one phone call with Richard Hollis around, I think, 7 p.m.
You think?
I can give you the exact time.
Okay.
One phone call at 4 hours. It would probably be about 7 p.m., a minute and 40 seconds between Mr. Hollis and Mr. Mobley, but that's the only time I saw his number with the defendants. I was in charge of
And
investigating.
what's the date?
July 1st.
And how were you able to confirm or identify that phone number?
That was a number that when he's talking to, I believe, his cousin, Willie Mobley, on a jail phone call, he provides that as his contact number, and then subsequently, Willie Mobley calls that number and reaches Mr. Takithion Mobley.
What was the length of that phone call?
The length of the phone call? I don't want to misspeak, probably like 10 minutes or so.
Okay, so is there any reason that that number was not turned over to FBI agents?
Uh-oh.
For the, what do you mean turned over?
If you were the investigator who turned over certain numbers for the FBI agent to review, and you're stating that there was a phone call between Mr. Mobley and Mr. Hollis on July 1st. Why, can you give me an explanation or a reason as to why Mr. Mobley's number wouldn't have been turned over in those numbers that you provided to the FBI agent?
Well, I did not pull his call detail records. Again, this is Investigator Hulse's defendant. So all the call detail records that I had, I provided to the FBI.
Okay. Would you be surprised to learn that Detective Hulse, during her testimony, said that that was your part
She
of the
sure did.
investigation against Mr. Mobley?
She sure did.
Again, that's her defendant. I'm not sure why she would say that, but that was her defendant.
He said it. He said you gave that stuff over.
Now, you also reviewed certain cell phone extraction data. Is that correct?
Correct.
Various phones.
Correct.
To your knowledge, was there any discussion of Mr. Mobley in any of those cell phone extractions that you reviewed?
Not to my knowledge.
Out of all of the co-defendants that Mr. Mobley has been charged, alleged co-defendants that Mr. Mobley has been charged with, did you find any text or phone calls or messages between them and Mr. Mobley outside of this one that I'm learning about today?
I don't want to misspeak. Like I said, that was Investigator Hulse's portion. She took Mr. Mobley, so she would have had to evaluate that for her probable cause.
Okay. And you reviewed, again, the warrant that was taken out in this case.
Correct.
None of that was mentioned in the warrant in this case.
None of what?
This phone call or any mention of messages or texts between Mr. Mobley and any other alleged co-defendants.
Oh,
Okay.
correct.
To your knowledge, Mr. Mobley's phone was not one of the ones placed at the scene of the incident, was it?
I guess that would have been Investigator Hulse's wheelhouse with him, but I don't believe so.
I mean, you reviewed the records, did you?
Correct, but
Was Mr. Mobley's number one of the numbers that came up in your review?
in the towers, is that what you're asking?
Yes. ma'am.
No, not in the towers.
Not in the towers, okay. We talked a little about social media. I want to,
Pause for a moment.
Yes.
I just heard somebody's cell phone chime. Whose cell phone? All the cell phones are supposed to be collected coming in. Whose cell phone just chimed? Was it any of council? All right, someone has a cell phone in here that is prohibited. If you do have a cell phone, please step outside and leave it with the deputies. There is no recording except for our one pool camera, and that's to protect everybody's privacy, including the young men that are present. So please, if you did not turn your cell phone over, go outside and do it now. And I won't hold anybody in contempt. I just want to make sure that we're running smoothly. Thank you. I'm sorry to interrupt you, Ms. Stewart. Go right ahead.
No problem. So let's talk about your investigations into social media. I want to start generally. Now, you've previously stated, I believe during this hearing, that social media can kind of be like the graffiti for gangs, right?
Correct.
Okay, and I think that's a good analogy because graffiti's been known to be used as a way for people to mark territories, right?
Correct.
Now, you'd agree that graffiti in recent years has been adopted into popular culture, right? You see
Meaning?
graffiti all over the world. It's not just specifically to designate territories, right?
Sure.
Okay. So you couldn't automatically assume, just because you saw a graffiti, that it must be gang-related.
Correct.
All right, same thing with social media. You agree in recent years that certain aspects of what's quote-unquote gang culture have been adopted into the larger popular culture, right?
Some of which.
I can give you some like examples, certain hand gestures, emojis, terminology, like fam, like spin. Those are things that could be gang signifiers, but have also been adopted into larger popular culture.
Correct.
Okay, so just like graffiti, when you see these gang signifiers that have been adopted even by non-gang members, as an expert, you can't just assume that it's gang-related.
Correct. That's why we use what's called a cluster of identifiers. We won't just go off one thing.
Right, and but part of that, you would need context of how these things are being used would be crucial, right?
Correct.
And so how do you make the distinction between identifying something that's a gang indicator versus something being used colloquially?
Like you just said, based on the context of the conversation. Like, I know snippets of wire calls got played in here, but when you listen to the call in its entirety, you can hear the context of the terms that are being used, or we've heard it used in multiple different calls and be consistent with how it's used.
So you have certain steps in place to make sure that you are properly making that distinction.
Correct.
Okay. For example, we talked a little bit about this case that members of the good fellow frequently use 2 hearts emojis, right?
Correct.
However, every individual who uses a 2 heart emoji is not identifying themselves as a member of the good fellows, are they?
Correct.
Okay. The word fam, you said that that's a word that the good fellows refer to the other members as family or sometimes fam.
Correct.
But if I say, "What's up, fam," to you, you wouldn't assume I was identifying either you or myself as a member of the Goodfellas, would you?
Correct.
Okay, so again, when you're conducting your investigations, you have to look at the greater context of how these things are being used, right?
Absolutely.
And you wouldn't make that assumption based off of those things alone.
Correct.
Now, did you do that in this case?
Yes, that's why I only charged Mr. Mobley as an associate of the gang.
Okay, and we'll get to that. Are you trained on documenting, I don't know, in the scope of your investigations as a gang investigator, are you trained to document in your reports how you're ruling out other meanings of certain things that you're identifying as gang identifiers?
I don't know if I'd so much as rule it out, but I'd say based on the context, this is how I can relate it to the gang.
Based off the context, and again, I'm asking, are you, if it's a if there's a alternative contextual meaning that it could mean that's not gang related, are you taking steps to document that in your report?
If I'm putting it in my report, if it's something that I could say, he was on the phone and he was speaking with his sister and said, "Hey, fam," that would be different.
And are you documenting that?
Correct.
Okay. I want to talk specifically about Mr. Mobley's social media now. How did your investigation lead you to Mr. Mobley's social media account?
Once I was told that he was one of Investigator Hulse's suspects that she was going to charge, I began to look at his social media and some of the things that I would see on there.
And what was the account that you investigated?
He had 3. I believed one was 2500 J-Man, one was, I think, Young and Solid, and I think one was One Young and Solid. I think the most recent one would have been the One Young and Solid.
Is that one spelled out or like one?
Number 1.
And what steps did you take to confirm that these accounts actually belong to Mr. Mobley?
Based on the interactions with other individuals, they'd be commenting back and forth on different pictures. He would go live sometimes. It was, I think the 2500 J-Man was also identified or documented under his gang profile previously by somebody else. And then once I received the returns back, based on the context of some of the conversations and some of the things that were being posted, it appeared to be the account associated with Mr. Mobley.
And so you did file warrants in this case, or for these social media accounts?
For social media, yes.
Okay, and so how long would you say that you reviewed these accounts? Or was the scope of time that you reviewed these accounts?
I looked from May 14th, 2024 through whenever the warrant was issued. That's probably October.
Okay. In your review of those accounts, did you ever find Mr. Mobley to be any group chats with any members of the Goodfellas?
It was a pretty voluminous return. I just knew, I could see from some of the communications with other individuals that he had a close relationship or was friendly with members of the Goodfellas.
Close or friendly with members of the Goodfellas? How so?
I could see there was a gentleman named DeQuavius Hillman that was murdered in November. And he had a close relationship with Mr. Hillman, who is a member of the
But
Goodfellas.
what's your basis of, or explain what you mean by a close relationship? Was he following this person?
I believe he was following him, and then following Mr. Hillman's passing, he was very upset. And then,
That enough to determine or establish a close relationship?
yes, based on how I could see, it wasn't just a one-off, some random person got killed, there was some sort of friendship there. I believe there was, I don't want to misspeak, I believe there was communication in there with Mr. Hillman as well.
Okay, in viewing the Instagram page, did you find any interactions between Mr. Mobley and any of the other alleged co-defendants?
I believe maybe Mr. Tradon Crawford.
Did you put that in your warrant?
In which warrant?
Any of the warrants that you took out?
No.
Okay.
And Mr. Caldwell, possibly? I'd have to double check.
Have that information in front of you?
No, I don't.
Okay. So right now, you can't testify whether you're unsure of whether there was any communications between Mr. Mobley and any of the alleged co-defendants via social media?
Correct.
Okay. And that was your scope of the investigation, right?
Just- I'm sorry, go ahead.
Not Detective Hols's, it was your scope of the investigation for social media?
Right, she charged him with homicide, and I was investigating if he was a gang associate or an affiliate of this gang.
Okay, on Mr. Mobley's Instagram, did you witness any photos of him holding himself out to be a member of the Goodfellas?
No, he's
Any tattoos?
just strictly charged an associate.
Okay, so any two hearts, any hand signs, any colors, anything like that?
No, he's documented as a member of, I believe, Born Rich or DFW. Like I said, he was an associate of the Goodfellas based on, like, our SOP reads, an individual, if they don't meet the criteria for membership of the gang, a close relationship with the gang or members of the gang, you classify them as an associate, which is why he was classified as an associate and not a member.
Okay, so and again, correct me if I'm wrong, so you're saying his basis of an association or classified of association is because he reposted or seemed to have a close relationship with a member, right?
At least two, and also Mr. Trevante Turner.
Okay, walk me through that. So the association is tied to, how is he associated to Mr. Turner?
Again, he appeared to have a friendship with Mr. Turner.
What was the basis of that appearance of a friendship?
Social media records. And you could see, again, with the passing of Mr. Turner, he appeared to be upset.
Okay, what was in those social media records?
I believe there was communication with Mr. Turner.
You believe you don't?
I'll have to look back. It's thousands of pages. But I do know that he was extremely upset when Mr. Turner, or was upset when Mr. Turner passed and had posted about it.
You asked him if he was upset?
No, from what he was posting about, that he was
Made a
upset.
post about Mr. Turner, correct?
Right.
Is that the post that you provided as part of your PowerPoint today?
Correct.
Okay, so in that post, I believe it's on slide 99, if you have it.
Okay.
It's a post of Mr. Turner. And I believe the caption reads, "I can't believe y'all."
I don't have a full-size picture of it.
Okay. And that was enough to serve as your basis as a close relationship?
He says, "Damn, Shorty, I'm mad at you. We don't die, thug." That's what he says.
Okay. So it's not the very first picture? It's the
Which one? That's,
on slide
that's
99?
not, that's not Mr. Turner.
Okay, so the very last picture.
That's Mr. Threat, or Mr. Turner is the picture all the way to the right. The one to the left is going to be Mr. DeQuavius Hillman.
Okay, so let's get all the way to the right. We'll stay with Mr. Turner. That post was enough to lead you to believe that he had an extremely close relationship to him. That he was,
And I believe there's also I'll have to look back.
but you don't have that in front of you today. So what you can testify to
I don't.
today is this post is your basis to believe that he had an extremely close relationship.
Yes, based on what I saw in totality, I said, my warrant reads that he's an associate of the gang, not a member of the gang, but he did have a relationship with two different members, or a friendship with two different members of the gang, which would qualify under SOP, our SOP, as an associate of the gang.
Thank you. But again, my question is about this specifically, this post, of Mr. Turner, is your basis for saying that they had a close relationship.
There were multiple posts, so they're not all
What
documented
did you
here.
provide today? For this hearing, all you provided was this post, right? If there
Correct.
was multiple posts, you could have provided it, correct?
Correct,
So you only provided this post?
Correct.
That says, and again, and this formed your basis as a close relationship with Mr. Turner, right?
yes.
Question, Your Honor, defense counsel asked the witness what was the basis for her obtaining these warrants, and then she interrupted the witness before she could answer her question, and then changed the question to, well, what did you provide? She needs to let the witness answer the question.
Okay,
My
also stand
apologies.
just one chunk at a time. No compound questions.
Yes, Your Honor.
Let her finish, and then come back with your next question, please, Ms. Stewart.
Yes, Your Honor, my
Thank you.
apologies. My apologies for interrupting. My question specifically, I just want to narrow it down to this post of Mr. Turner that you provided. Was this post signifying a close relationship to Mr. Turner?
Yes.
Okay. If I repost someone who's passed away, would that necessarily indicate a close relationship to them, in your opinion?
In the gang, not necessarily, in the gang world, while there's an active conflict going on, it's showing your relationship with that person.
Okay, so there's a different standard when you're investigating somebody if you believe it to be a gang member.
Correct. You wouldn't be able to post somebody like that if it wasn't somebody that, in the midst of what was going on at the time, that would show your friendship or relationship with that person. Again, our SOP is saying if you show a relationship with the gang or members of the gang, they're classified as an associate. With everything that was going on at this point in time, and we're trying to stick to this case, but with the back and forth that was taking place between, especially the location where Mr. Mobley frequents, totality of which leads me to believe that he has an association with that side of the conflict, which is Goodfellas based.
So we went from an association to a close relationship.
The association is predicated on the friendship between the two individuals that I'm
And
showing
the
you.
friendship is predicated on these posts, right?
The social media records in their totality.
And these posts, again, are both a condolences to somebody who's passed away.
But I can tell you in Mr. Hillman's case, for sure, there was communication with Mr. Hillman, and he had a friendship with Mr. Hillman.
Did you provide that?
No.
Okay, so what we have today are these two posts, right?
And my testimony regarding what I've researched and investigated.
Okay. Did you provide that in the warrants?
No.
Okay. If it was relevant, would you have provided that in the warrants? Or let me take that question back. Did you have that information when you took out these warrants?
Yes, and I believe I said he was an associate. That information led me to classify him as an associate.
Okay. Do you have the dates of these posts?
I do not.
Did you document the dates of these posts?
Probably, they'd be documented within the social media records, but they would have had to be close to the time of the murder because Mr. Turner passed on June 29th. And Mr. Hillman, again, around that time, that post would have had to be around, I believe, November 8th was when he was murdered. So I can give you the approximate time frame.
Can you recall which of the three accounts that you were reviewing these posts came from?
I believe the one Young and Solid, that was the most current account for Mr. Mobley.
In the scope of your investigation, did you come across any photos of Mr. Mobley and either of these two individuals?
I can't recall, I believe maybe, but I don't want to,
But you didn't provide
I
it?
don't want to, I'm not going to say that right here.
Okay. Now, you also talked about a vigil that was held.
Correct.
Can you remind me of which individual that vigil was held for?
Mr. Trevante Turner.
Okay, and there was a Mr. Turner. That's the individual on slide 99, the very first picture, right?
All the way to the right.
Or all the way to the right. Okay, it's the very last picture, Mr. Turner. And you said, again, that his association was based on this close relationship. Now, you talked about people who attended that vigil. Do you have any evidence, or to your knowledge, or based on your investigations, was Mr. Mobley in attendance at that vigil?
You'd have to ask Investigator Hull. She would have investigated that, and as it pertains to Mr. Mobley.
Did you investigate anybody that was at that vigil?
I spoke to people that were there and looked at certain things, but I did not ask Mr. Mobley if he had attended, or I didn't review his phone records from that. Like I said, he's Investigator Hull's defendant, so that would have been her responsibility.
Okay, so based on what you reviewed about the vigil, did you have any information that Mr. Mobley was in attendance? Just based off of what your investigation was?
No, there was just, I spoke to some individuals that I knew to be present. I mean, there wasn't like a sign-in sheet, there wasn't like a roll call, there wasn't any, so Investigator Hulse would have investigated if he would have went there or not.
Okay, did you review anything on his social media that would have led you to believe that he was there?
No.
Okay, did you see any post of the flyer from Mr. Mobley?
Not that I believe so. I don't believe so.
And this is, again, an individual that you said he is extremely close to and formed the basis of his association.
I mean, everybody was upset at that time. I wouldn't say because he didn't post the flyer, he's not close to him.
Well, you would say if he posted a condolences that he is close to him.
Correct, but just because you don't post a flyer to a vigil, that doesn't mean you're not close to him.
Okay, so based on your investigation, to your knowledge, do you have any information that Mr. Mobley's cell phone was placed at the vigil?
Again, this investigator Hulse's portion of the investigation.
But you reviewed her portion of the investigation, right?
Correct, but I don't want to misspeak. I don't, again, that's her. She was in charge of Mr. Mobley and his phone records and all those things.
I'm just going off of what you reviewed and in the scope, so you can answer to the best of your knowledge.
I did not review his phone. She would have. I did not review his phone records for that.
You did not review Mr. Mobley's phone records.
I think I looked at them briefly, but I did not review them. That was her defendant, so.
Okay, and, okay. So what formed the basis for, I'll allow you to explain a little further. What formed the basis for your criteria as to make Mr. Mobley an associate? Or can you explain that?
Again, his friendship or relationship, as our SOP states, we can show that they have a relationship with the gang or its members, you classify them as an associate if they do not meet the criteria for membership.
So that association or relation or friendship is the basis of his being identified as an associate.
On top of that, the gang that he is documented as a member of, which I believe it's Born Rich DFW, is heavily allied with the Goodfellas Criminal Street Gang. You'll see they work together often. So there's a couple of reasons, but as per our SOP, showing a relationship with members of the gang allows us to classify as an associate, and that's why he's not classified as a member. He's just an associate.
And I want to make sure we're clear that relationship is between the two individuals that he posted, right?
As an example of two Goodfellas members that he would be an associate of, yes.
And are there other members that he's an associate of?
Yeah, there are, like I said, thousands of pages of Instagram records.
That you reviewed?
There were more, yeah, yes.
Okay, so can you tell me today, are these the two individuals that led you to believe that he was an associate?
Those are examples of two, yes. Those are the most prominent examples that
But there could be more,
could be.
but you don't have that information in front of you today.
No, not in front of me. See, I based my warrants off these two specifically. I know those are two prominent people that he appeared to be most affected by.
Because he posted.
Okay, not because I said earlier, he would converse with Mr. Hillman, and Mr. Crawford was the basis of the conflict. So he did have a close relationship with Mr. Crawford, I do know that, and then,
With Mr. Crawford?
I'm sorry, Mr. Turner, Mr. Durante Turner. So at the time of his death, that's why he was posting him. I mean, I can't know how many different ways to say it. I've said, like, we've gone over it a bunch of times. It's the same
I
thing.
just want to make sure I'm clear on what the criteria was to
Right.
form an association.
The gang that he's currently documented as a member of has a very close association with the Goodfellas Criminal Street Gang, an alliance. We've seen that over the past, I know I've seen it over the past year or so. And then the fact that these are just two examples, there could be more on social media, these are just two that I had for the hearing here today of members that he was friendly with, had a relationship with.
Okay, did any high-ranking member of the Goodfellas ever claim Mr. Mobley to be a member
Not,
or an associate?
no,
Did anybody ever say, he's fam, he's good?
no.
Okay. Let's talk about, I want to direct your attention to now the informants that were used in this case. We heard a few of them, so I want to make sure we get them clear. There was different tipsters, informants, and a witness who provided information in this case, right?
Correct?
Okay, how many total tipsters and informants and witnesses provided information that you relied on in this case?
One.
If you
I relied on one.
just one?
And then there were I think there were maybe two Crime Stoppers tips. Well, a few Crime Stoppers tips came in, and it was up to us to investigate each and determine the validity of each or if there's anything behind them. There was one that was featured in the PowerPoint where it kind of tracked with the evidence. There were a lot that didn't, that we had to discount and investigate. And then I spoke to and had one individual that provided information.
Okay. I first want to talk about the informant you testified that you spoke to in late July of 2024. Does that give you enough information of who I'm referring to?
No, I spoke with somebody in January.
Okay.
January.
You said in January?
Correct.
Okay, you didn't speak with anybody in late July?
I attempted to speak with somebody, but Investigator Hulse, I believe, Investigator Stansel spoke with him first. And then I attempted to reach out for him, that was unsuccessful. And then I believe Investigator Hulse or Stansel subsequently reached out to him after that.
Okay. So the Crime Stopper tip from July of 2024, you didn't speak to this person?
Crime Stopper tips are anonymous, we can't.
Okay. And so confidential informant from January of 2025, you spoke to this informant?
Yes,
Okay. Did that informant provide any information against Mr. Mobley?
no,
Okay. Had this informant been previously utilized by APD at all, to your knowledge?
to my knowledge, no.
Okay. Same with the tipsters. Any of the tipsters, crime tips that came in, did any of those mention Mr. Mobley?
No,
Okay. Now, I'd like to talk about witness A. Does that give you enough information of who I'm talking or referred to?
it does.
Okay. Did you speak to witness A?
I attempted to reach out to him, but I was unsuccessful.
Okay, so can you recall who or which law enforcement witness A would have reached out to?
Detective Stansel spoke to him originally,
Okay,
and then I know Detective Stansel spoke to him after that. I don't know if Detective Hulse did. I know Detective Stansel did.
was originally the one who spoke with that witness?
And then he spoke with him multiple times. Detective Stansel did.
Okay, so you weren't a part of those conversations?
No, like I said, I attempted to reach out to him and was unsuccessful.
Okay. Did you take any steps to corroborate the information that this witness provided?
He's Investigator Hulse's defendant, so that was her portion of the investigation.
Okay. Did you investigate this witness at all? I mean, I know you attempted to reach out. Did you investigate?
No, once, that was Detective Hulse's responsibility, and I know Detective Stansel spoke with him. I just didn't, that was her portion of the investigation.
Okay. Are you aware that they put a $50,000 reward for information?
$50,000.
Correct?
Okay, and to your knowledge, are you aware if that reward has ever been given out to any of the people? who
Nope,
provided
they didn't get that money out.
It has not.
Okay.
They lied. No money given out.
Let's switch gears. I want to talk about your discussion that you had with Mr. Mobley.
Yes.
Do you remember interviewing Mr. Mobley?
Yes.
Do you
yes.
remember on what date you interviewed him?
It was the date of his arrest. I can't
Yes,
think of.
yes, Ken, I'm sharing it over there.
So sometime in January.
Correct.
Okay. Was this interview recorded?
Yes.
Okay. How long would you say this interview last?
Maybe
Fake
half hour to
money.
An hour, if that.
Now, during this interview, you showed him, you stated that you showed him certain individuals that you claim he was able to identify.
He was shown certain photos. He identified some of them. Can't remember off the top of my head who.
You don't remember what individuals he was shown?
Not off the top of my head.
Okay. Were these people either in the public light or around others who were in the public light?
Are you talking about members of the rival gang?
I believe so. Whoever you showed him.
Yeah, he was shown members of 4PF, which would have been on the victim side of this case. And when I showed him to Mr. Mobley, he said, he just looked at them and he said, I don't want, not a direct quote, something to the effect of, they're from the other side.
Okay. And these individuals, again, were they people who are in the public light?
Yes,
Okay. So it wouldn't have been, he wouldn't have to know them personally to be able to identify them, right?
No.
Okay. Did you follow up on what he meant by the other side?
I knew what he meant. He didn't really elaborate, but we could tell by.
You knew what he meant?
Correct. He said they're from the other side.
How did you know what he meant if you didn't ask him?
I don't want to misspeak. I think my partner may have asked him. I don't want to misspeak on the interview, but I know he looked at the picture and said they're from the other side.
But I'm saying, obviously what you just said today, you just said that, well, you didn't have to ask him because you knew what he meant.
From my knowledge of the investigation, I knew the other side of this conflict to be the victims of this incident as members of 4PF.
But that's your assumption of what he meant, right?
Well, that's my knowledge of this case from the evidence, is that
First, absolutely understood. But again, just on that, what, from the other side, or they're on the other side, did you follow up to get any of the context to see if it could have meant anything else?
Mr. Mobley was not very talkative.
Did you follow up to get any of the context to see if it meant anything else?
Follow up with who?
With him, you were in the interview room. Did you ask a question of what he
I
meant?
believe my partner said, "What do you mean?" I can't recall I don't think he elaborated.
Okay. But you assumed that it meant the other side of a gang.
I didn't assume. I know based on the evidence on this case and the conflict that was taking back and forth, the other side would have been 4PF.
Well, no, you assumed that that was what he meant when he said it. You
Right, but I
assumed
know-
that by saying, oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I'm sorry. I know in this investigation, the other side, the victims on this case would have been the 4PF side of things.
But that doesn't necessarily what he was implying when he said it.
Maybe,
So that's an assumption that you made.
maybe.
Okay. And you're taught not to do that in the scope of your investigations, right?
Oh,
Right, but I didn't
oh,
mind what I perceived from that. That's not any
oh.
judgment on Mr. Mobley. He referred to the victims and the other side of this case as they're from the other side.
I understand. My point is that you made an assumption and drew a conclusion based off of that without checking, without confirming any context.
I'm not, again, based on the evidence, I knew what the other side was. And we tried to, I believe we tried to ask him, he didn't want to elaborate.
But you don't know if that other side is what Mr. Mobley was referring to. That's my point.
Objection, Your Honor, this has been asked and answered multiple times.
Sustained.
Okay, I'll move on. What else was discussed during this interview?
The incident itself, the vehicles involved in the incident, the people involved in the incident. Just the incident.
Okay. You said Mr. Mobley wasn't talkative?
He just was denying any involvement, but he wasn't elaborating much.
Okay. Did he ever elaborate on where he was at the time of the incident, alleged incident?
Not that I can recall. I don't believe he gave us, he just said that wasn't him.
Okay, so to your knowledge, in the scope of your investigation, did you ever come across that he was actually at the movies during the time of that incident?
Detective Holst may have been provided that information because he's her defendant.
Okay. Did you interview any of the alleged co-defendants in this case?
Yes?
Did any of them ever name Mr. Mobley?
No?
Okay. Did any of them ever say Mr. Mobley was there?
No?
Did any of them ever identify a photo of Mr. Mobley?
I can't remember who. I think one of them may have said they recognized him, but not that he was there. Nobody would point out anybody as being there.
Okay, did any of them suggest that he was a member of the Goodfellas?
No?
Okay. You also stated that you reviewed a jail call between Mr. Mobley and a family member?
Correct?
Okay, do you know when the date of this call was?
August 28th.
And so this call would have been, okay. Now, do you remember when you talked to the first of any of the co-defendants in this case? The first time you interviewed any of them? Or let me rephrase, the first time any of law enforcement interviewed any of the co-defendants in this case?
Yes.
Do you know what that date was? Or would have been?
Probably August 13th.
Okay, so before this call with Mr. Mobley
Correct?
and his relative, W. Mobley.
Correct.
Okay. And you're aware that on that call, Mr. Mobley states that he heard people were snitching.
Correct.
Okay, and he very well could have heard people were snitching because this call, first, if law enforcement first interviewed on the 13th, this call again was weeks later.
Correct.
Okay. So this case had already been discussed with certain individuals,
Correct.
and that information could have possibly made its way down the grapevine and around the neighborhood, right?
It could have, yes.
Okay, so simply having information or being told that someone's snitching doesn't prove that somebody was involved.
Correct.
Okay, now, let's talk about those wiretaps. There's 12,000 wiretaps, right?
Somewhere in the ballpark when you combine phone calls and text messages, yes.
Are any of those between any of the co-defendants and Mr. Mobley?
No.
Okay, are any of those wiretaps between Goodfellas members and Mr. Mobley?
Well, guys, that's it. That's all I got on this one because the camera guy had to leave. So we did not get Nicole's testimony. I mean, Nicole cross-examining her, but Nicole was really like hard on her. Yeah, I'm sorry, guys, but that was it. The camera guy had to leave because they had to do, because they didn't start on time. They started late and then they had to go live. The camera person had to go live. I'm sorry. Sorry. But that is it for tonight. Don't forget, you got Yak Gotti. Yak Gotti is on Wednesday. Hopefully that will be streamed. If not, we will have it. You know, your girl will have it if it's not streamed, okay? But if it is streamed, you guys could I couldn't record. No, Dom. I didn't put in a Rule 22 because look, I was already in hot water. I was not going to press the issue. I could not press the issue, y'all. I could not press the issue. I was already. Let me tell you, Dom. I was so nervous going to court today that I was like, I'm not gonna put in no Rule 22. Not putting in anything. And when I walked in, they had already said, Miss Sylvia, no. Miss Sylvia, put your phone inside the bag. They were ready for me. So I was like, I was too scared to put in a Rule 22. But I'm serious. I was too scared to put one in because I already know folks already send letters to the judge already, and she already knew it. I told you that's why she told me to go ahead and put my watermark on stuff because I explained what the situation was happening with me, right? So they didn't. I didn't put in no Rule 22. I'm staying away from Rule 22 for a little while. I'll just get it from the pool. I'll just make sure I have my little dandy because I had to buy a new one of these. I had to make sure I got the little smallest one so I can keep in my bag. So I can go down to the stations and download it and have it for you guys. So I had to buy one of these because Steen told me, Miss Sylvia, make sure you have your cards and stuff, and I didn't have it, so I had to run to the store before the people closed down. I'm talking about the camera people, so I can have my footage for you guys. And you see, I got it. Cost me, but I got it. Okay, there she goes. There she goes. She had told me, Sylvia, make sure you have your you showed the video I text you of Boosie car accident. Okay. So this here is going to stay in my pocket at all times. So I will not be unprepared again. This is a 1 terabyte one and it's really small, easy going. See, 1 terabyte. And so I'll keep this with me at all times. So you guys, I will always have the footage. Okay. I'll keep this with me. Okay. But I'm gonna show Bootsy thing at the in the next live, because the next live I'm gonna be talking about everything. Okay. Tell news people to give you a camera. Angel, I was pushing my luck with that. Look, I got it. Okay. So you wouldn't be caught unprepared after that last time. Clifton, shh, be quiet. But anyway, everybody, that was it for it. Rule 22, others in. Look. Anyway, the magistrate court only lets one person carries a Rule 22 because they don't have enough room for everybody to have one. So they only give one person a Rule 22 to be a pool. Now, if I got a rule, it's the first company it goes in first to get it. So I wasn't going to get approved for camera anyway. I would have got approved just to be able to use my phone, but I didn't even put that in there. Though. I ain't put nothing in because I was too nervous. So, because people on YouTube already got what time in 15 minutes. Okay, I gotta go, y'all. See, Dom trying to get me to go play that video. Okay, y'all, gotta go. Got my last live for today. Get ready to start. Okay. All right. I'll see you guys in a few. Bye.
Thank you for watching the infamous Sylvia channel, where laughter and fun make up our panel. Together we build this digital spree. We appreciate you and our growing family. With mods by our side and chat flowing free in this online space. It's just you and me, we laugh until tears roll down like the rain. In this virtual world, you ease all my pains. We're a family, not just a show. Every click and comment makes us grow. Mods and chat, keeping the vibe so right. Together we shine like stars in the night. We cherish the moments, the highs and lows, from the latest gossip to stories untold. You're more than a viewer, you're part of the crew in this space of ours. It's all because of you. This digital world where emotion is shared, every post and reaction showing we care. The love is real in this virtual domain. With every sign, enjoys what we'll gain. We're a family, not just a show. Every click and comment makes us grow. Mods and chat, keeping the vibe so right. Together we shine like stars in the night. We're a family, not just a show. Every click and comment makes us grow. Mods and chat, keeping the vibe so right. Together we shine like stars in the night. This digital world where emotion is shared, every post and reaction showing we care. The love is real in this virtual domain. With every sign, enjoys what we'll gain. We're a family, not just a show. Every click and comment